All right, so this is Todd Atkins, and I'm here with Rhoman Cueva, and I want to thank you for taking time out to do this. And before we start, just for everybody watching, I have two sponsors: Live to Fight Design, who makes fight banners for fighters. Maybe Rhoman, you might be
Oh yeah,
interested in
for
them one
sure.
day. But if you're ever interested in anybody, you can find them on Instagram at Live to Fight Design, and I also have a betting sponsor, which is Bet Stamp, which I'll get into later. But Roman, kind of to start, I always like to ask people kind of, like I found the sport in 1994. Kind of when did you find MMA?
My sister was an MMA fighter back in the day, so I mean she's been in it for a while, and like I said in another podcast, I was getting into fights since middle school. I got in another fight in high school, so she told me to get into wrestling at my school, and I got into wrestling at my school. Um, I stopped my junior year because I had my daughter my junior year, so I didn't end up pursuing it longer because I ended up graduating early and had my daughter and went to college. So,
Now,
um,
sorry, I wanted to ask you kind of in wrestling, like how do you feel you did in wrestling high school?
oh, I did really well for like my first season. I want to say, I think it was top 10. I want to say it was top 10 or 12. It was around there. I made it for the 5A division.
And so I always like to talk about people and their development. So when you were doing the wrestling, like how soon was it after you got out of wrestling that you kind of transitioned into training MMA?
So it's like a roller coaster with me and MMA. So after wrestling, and then after I had my daughter, um, I got into jujitsu, and then I was in jujitsu, and then my sister was coaching me for a little bit for MMA. But then she just had a lot on her plate, so she wasn't able to coach anymore. So I was looking for an MMA gym, and I found my gym. And since I'm the first girl fighter at my gym, my coach was pretty like, you need to be consistent. You need like I need to make sure like this is something that you want to do. He wasn't gonna just send me out there just because I wanted to fight. Like I had to show him like my dedication and my drive on why I want to fight. And it took me about 2 years with him to get my first debut fight. And I feel like my coach had a reason to hold me back for a while to get my first fight because it all came together at the end. So yeah, that's.
But you're an experienced competitor, you were a wrestler
Oh yeah, for
before.
sure.
So I just want to know, like, when you started training, how do you feel you were catching on to it? Because kind of.
I don't want to say I'm a natural at it. It just flows with me. I feel. I just feel like not it's I don't want to say like I mean I feel like I'm talented, but I just love the sport. Like I just want to keep learning because there's so much to learn. There's no dead end when it comes to MMA. There's always something added. Like it's like a scramble. I don't know how to explain it. There's always something new when it comes to learning MMA. And I love to know that there's like so much knowledge when it comes to learning things, and there's always something new to learn.
But when you were like doing jujitsu, how quickly do you feel like you were picking it up, so to speak,
um I feel like I was picking it up really fast.
because of your wrestling and stuff? You're able
Yeah,
to.
because of my wrestling, I feel like since I had that level of ground, I feel like it made it easier to learn jujitsu.
But when you started to train MMA, do you feel like you're gravitating more to jujitsu or more to striking, or what do you think?
I feel like every style that I know, I feel like they're all good. I don't feel like I actually have one that I like really like feel like, oh, this one's dominating. My coach had me work all around, all styles around. He's like, well, if you're good at wrestling, like I need you good at jujitsu. If you're good at those two, well, you need to work on your kickboxing. If you're good at that, you need to work on your boxing. He formed me like working like if you get stuck in something, I want to make sure you know how to get out of it, or I need to make sure you know a counter from it. So when I get asked that, I'm just like, well, I think I'm good at like I think all of it's I think it's more like sharpened. I feel like it's sharpened, but I don't want to say like I'm freaking whoa, like because there's so much to learn.
The reason I ask is when I watched your fight, you did, while it didn't last that long, most of it was kind of stand up oriented. You had some time in the clinch, but it just never really went to the ground for whatever reason. So I was just kind of
Yeah,
asking if that was kind of how you had gravitated toward in training, or it just happened that way.
it just happened that way. I mean, my two dropped her, and right when I was going for that ground TKO, I mean, they stopped it right then and there. So I couldn't even do anything off ground. But if I was to have fell off on ground, I would have been fine with that too. So either or.
That was one thing you mentioned that I wanted to ask you about. You said like you're the only female competitor at your gym. And I know still, even for female fighters, in the bigger scheme, there's still not a lot of
Yeah.
competitors necessarily. Maybe from your vantage point, tell me what you think, because how hard was it for you to find a fight, for example?
Um. Well, the promoters that I went with, I feel like he was able to get me a fight really fast. But yeah, for my weight class division, it is a small weight class, and in general, the women's division is small. Um. So, but my first fight, it wasn't hard to find a fighter.
And so, as this is something you're wanting to continue doing, do you think it would be difficult to find opponents in your area, or?
Um, I'm really hoping not that it's not, but I mean, it could be an issue one day. I mean, I won't find out till my coach sets me up with the promoter.
Now, kind of talk about going into the fight. Like you said, your coach had you train for a couple of years. Maybe talk about when were you asking him to get you a fight, or was it more like he kind of approached and said, "Hey, maybe you might want to do this now," or kind of take me through that.
No, it was me. It was me like, hey coach, when am I gonna fight? When are you thinking of me getting my first fight? When it was me bugging because like we have guy fighters at my gym too, and they're getting their fights, and I'm like, put me in, coach, put me in.
And how soon was that into your training? So how long did you have to bug him?
My fight camp.
No, I mean,
You
how
said?
long did you have to bug him until he finally got you a
Oh,
fight?
like a year, yeah, a
Okay.
year.
And what was his reasoning? And like, do you say, no, we need to do this, we
Yeah, we
need to
gotta
do
work
that?
on this before I put you in the ring, in the cage. He was like, I want to make sure you're ready, like in all aspects when it comes to the atmosphere around, you know. It wasn't because he didn't feel like I was ready MMA wise. It was more like, you know how some fighters get like not like nervous when they're in the ring and like with everybody cheering and stuff, like the environment. He wanted to make sure that I can still do what I got to do while in that environment. Because I had a kickboxing hard sparring that I did before I fought, and super fights and tournaments that I've done before I did my MMA debut.
So you were doing grappling tournaments as well?
Yes, I do grappling tournaments and super fights.
Now, how did you do in some of those when you were kind of building up to the fights? How did you feel you were doing in those?
I want to say I was doing well. My two super fights that I've done, they were both draws. Um, And my tournaments that I've done, it was either first or second place.
How many of those did you do? A lot.
Not a lot, but not a little bit.
Okay.
I don't remember on the top of my head. But last year I only did last year I only did one tournament and one super fight. Because I was supposed to do a tournament before my super fight, but I had some problems with my stomach, so I ended up having to pull out from the tournament.
Now, what events were you doing the super fights in?
With combat sports coverage.
Okay.
Was with that one, and then my first super fight I did was with who did I just fight for? I'm sorry, it's been a long morning for me. Um, it was mixed with I totally forgot which promotion it was.
Yeah.
But
the reason I'm asking is because it sounds like when you were getting in a fight, you did say, you know, some of your other training partners were getting fights, but was it more you competing, or was it more them getting fights is why you wanted to do one of your own?
oh no, my sister was a fighter, so like I've already been wanting to fight. It's just like I said, I've had my up and downs. I'm a mom. I go to school. I work. So I mean, the fighting has always been something that I plan on still pursuing and moving up to the top. But it's just it just took me a while just because I'm a mom. I don't I get help from my family, but I'm a single mom. Like she's fully dependent on me. So it's a lot of pressure. So when I got in that fight, it's like all that time you sacrifice, all the hours that you sacrifice, I need to make sure it counts.
And having a sister who was a fighter, so she's kind of experienced some of the stuff that's gone on in not just fighting, but some of the stuff around it. Was she apprehensive about you competing, or was she more encouraging for you to do it? Because it's not
She
just the fighting, the business can be kind of
yeah, she was encouraging, but she was just like, make sure it's something you want to do because you got to realize like you're gonna be not pushed away from family, but you're gonna have to make those sacrifices on not going to like birthdays, not like things like that, like or hanging out with the family or going out to eat with the family. Those are because I can't go because I have practice. Those are things that I was sacrificing. She was just like, make sure you really think about those things and make sure you're okay with missing those things because you have to train. And so, yeah.
So how much, when you were in camp, how much were you training leading up to the fight? Like how many days a week?
It was every day, except Sundays would be like not a break day, but it'd be a lifting day. So I didn't have practically any breaks. I was training like 3 to 5 hours a day.
And were you trained specifically for the opponent, or was it more for what you do?
May you say that again?
Were you trained specifically for the opponent, or were you more training for what you do? Just kind of, I'll take care of what I do, and whatever happens in the fight happens.
Yeah, exactly. This fight was more like a me versus me thing. I've even gotten asked like, what's your game plan, or what is going to be your game plan? Well, I mean, my game plan is I just need to be I just need to be determined that I put in all the hard work during my training camp and do what I do best. And that's exactly what I did, because my opponent, that was her debut too. So I didn't know what I was looking for in that cage or what was going to happen in that cage because there was no film, no record, no nothing, for both of us. So it was more like just do your best in this fight, put all your hard work in this fight, Yeah.
Now tell me about the promotion. Was it Texas Clash? Is that what it was
Yeah,
called?
Texas Clash.
So kind of tell me what you knew about the promotion going in. Had you been there before or?
Um, I've had my teammates fight on that card. My boyfriend has fought on that card. But it was really cool because that was the first fight that they mixed the super fights, kickboxing and MMA styles in, and I was on that card, so that was pretty awesome.
So you think the overall experience, like maybe your next fight would be in that promotion as well, or?
Oh yeah, for sure. If they were to ask me, I would totally do another fight for them.
But as of now, you really don't have any commitment to any particular
Um,
fight.
yeah, yeah. Just because with the holidays, I was just focusing on the family and my daughter. But now since the holidays are over, I have to get back to work. With the gym.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. Like, what did your coach say after you won the fight? Did you just say, okay, it's the holidays, just take some time off, and when you come back, we'll kind of figure it out from there?
Yeah, first he told me he was like 2 weeks. That's your break, Roman. I was like, okay, and I was like, oh, I want to go out of town like for Christmas. So it's like all that was like so. So now that the holidays are over, I don't have no more time to put off.
Yes, yes, you can. Um, but so when you take that 2 weeks, do you do any training during that time at all of any kind, or is it just nothing?
Yeah, I did nothing, just spend time with my daughter because I really felt really bad because there was times where she would cry and not wanting to go to practice, or she would be like, again, I didn't get to take my daughter trick-or-treating. That was really hard for me because that was my first time actually not taking her, so
She
that
doesn't
that
she doesn't want to go to the gym yet?
she goes with me. I just don't like taking her all the time to like, because I'm there for a really long time, and she's gonna be like, Mom, when are we going? When are we leaving? Mom, Mom, Mom.
Yeah.
So I mean, I especially during fight camp, I like to stay focused and try not to get sidetracked. Mommy was auntie.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, so does your boyfriend help you out with that? Like when you're in fight camp, is he the one who's kind of helping out with her or?
So me and my boyfriend, we do long distance as of right now.
Oh,
My sister and my mom are the ones that helped me during fight camp, and my second family, which I've known since I was 4. She would go hang out over there till I finish practice.
it's interesting. So have that, what's your kind of timetable where you would think, okay, if I could get another fight, I'd like to get it within X amount of time?
I would really hope around May to September, around there. I'm really hoping not to do around the holidays again.
So really, you may want to just do maybe 1, 2 fights tops in 24. Is that what you're thinking?
That's what I'm hoping for. I really like jujitsu as well. My coach was telling me he wants me to do another super fight and a tournament. And I was telling him, well, I kind of want to do a striking fight as well before I do an MMA fight. So yeah, I want, like, I haven't done I mean, I've done kickboxing, but that was a hard spar event. I want to do like an actual, like, that puts me on a record. So
Now tell me about combat sports coverage. 'Cause I've seen a lot of, they're kind of, I would
oh,
say,
they're on the top with the athletes for sure.
right, and they're pretty active on social media.
Mhm.
What's the show like?
I feel like they do everything well. Like the super fight I did for them last year, I really liked the lights and the music that they were playing. Like they were playing the music while doing the grappling. I thought that was awesome for me. You also meet not just regular competitors. There's some high competitors that they match with as well. So seeing those people is awesome, and seeing them actually like in person and doing what they know best on the mats is pretty awesome.
Yeah, a lot in Japan, I lived in Japan from like 2002 to 2005, and they used to have some shows like ZST was one of them, and another was called Contenders, and they would play music. They had a DJ, and they play like techno type trance music
Yeah,
while all the grappling's going on. So it's an interesting kind of club type. They'd even have it in kind of weird warehouse type club.
And I really like that they take pictures too for like competitors to post. My hard sparring that I did, it was actually under combat sports coverage. So yeah, they took pictures for that kickboxing match I did.
And was that one in Texas, or where are they having
yes,
their shows
mostly? It was in Houston, Texas.
Do you know where they're based out of? Are they based out of Texas, or?
I think so. I want to say, but I know he's been doing events like out of Texas. Like I think he has one coming up in Miami, Florida. I think it's Miami, Florida.
Yeah, it seems like they're growing pretty quickly as far as
they're growing
footprint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's actually having I think he's merging with Tapper Scrap in it for an event coming up, and he's doing his event with Tapper Scrap. And we have a local fighter. We have a lot of local fighters on that card.
So it sounds like you're just kind of diversify your competition, not just MMA, but you're going to do. So all in all, even though you only want to do 2 fights, you'll probably end up doing.
Yes, I'm open to yeah, for sure. I'm open to any style that my coach offers me for this year.
So do you think maybe you could even, how you have people that they're making money doing grappling? Is that something you might be interested in doing as well?
Yeah, for sure. For grappling, I'm not in it for the money, but I mean that's like a plus. I just feel like I learn more as I go with tournaments and super fights when it comes to grappling, because I feel like when you have an opponent, they're more trying to go for the kill more than if you go train with your partners. They're not trying to hurt you or anything like that. They're actually like make you tap out compared to like an opponent. So I feel like I just learn more when I do tournaments and super fights.
Right, but you're a little unique because some people, they're just like, I'm going to do my MMA, I'm just going to fight, or just jiu-jitsu. You're kind of wanting to do both.
Yeah, I honestly I want to do any style my coach offers me. If it's I haven't done a boxing match as well either. That's something I would be open to as well. So it's practically whatever my coach. So it's whatever my coach thinks what's best for me, and whatever opportunity he gives me, I'm pretty open to it.
Because boxing, you probably have to get different licensing, though, right?
Yeah, I would have to.
Yeah, because you got all the different. Would they make you compete? You'd have to compete professionally, though, right? You wouldn't be able to, because you're professionally, or you're competing as an amateur in MMA. So
yeah,
I guess you could do amateur boxing.
Yeah, so I can still,
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. As an amateur now, like I would want to get all the experience that I can get before even turning pro. Put your hand down. I feel like even with MMA, like you're get a win or loss, you're getting the experience from it. You're getting a lesson learned from it. So that's how I see it.
And we're also seeing a lot of MMA crossing into boxing. Maybe what do you think about that?
I think that's pretty. I like seeing those scrappy, those I don't want to say bloody fights, but I like seeing when I see two people go against each other and they have like hands on them. I think that makes the fight more interesting, especially when they're both like really good at it.
But I mean, like we have guys in the UFC like Francis Ngannou, who's crossed over into boxing.
Mhm.
I wanted to know what you thought about that because now he's got another fight coming up with Anthony Joshua. They're saying it's going to happen in March. You know, he fought Tyson Fury near the end of last year. What do you think about UFC fighters getting opportunities in boxing now?
I think that's awesome. Like I think that really helps the MMA style, I want to say, just like with wrestling. When people hear somebody was a wrestler, like, oh wow, they got that background, like they're gonna be really good at MMA. Well, same with boxing too. I feel because you just stand like when you enter the cage, you're both standing up, you know. I feel like that's a like very good opportunity, especially if you know how to use it, how to transition. I think with MMA, like not the hardest battle, but figuring out when to transition, when to switch off. Like, okay, well, you start off with striking. Okay, so you're gonna do boxing. Okay, well, let's say you're the person you're going against catches you with how your style is. Okay, then switch to kickboxing. Okay, well, he gets you on the ground. Well, you switch to jujitsu. You know, I feel it's just with boxing. I feel like that's a good because you can transition as long as you learn how to transition and move like your styles. I feel like that's like you're gonna win. You're gonna win as long as you know your transitions and you're dominating and knowing that you're confident in what you're doing and you stay calm. Staying calm, you I feel like that has a lot. So yeah, I'm on go with fighters doing boxing and transitioning it to MMA, just like how I'm on go with wrestlers transitioning to MMA.
Now, you were kind of telling me some of these philosophies just then, but what were some of the things that you picked up, like from wrestling, maybe mentally, you know, from competing, that
Uh,
you could tell people that you think would benefit them, maybe if they haven't been a competitor before, whether it's wrestling or anything that you thought benefited you?
what benefited me with this was take that chance. Like if you see an opportunity to go for something, go for it. Like you, and if you get stuck, like you're just gonna scramble, you know. That's when it comes to transitioning as well too. Um, yeah, I think that's my that would be my advice is to just go for it. Go for it. If you know it's there or you know that you feel like you can get it, don't second guess it. You second guess it, you're gonna start hesitating.
Right. So, like, if somebody's not attacking, it's because they're worried about the outcome. Got it.
Exactly. And then they're gonna figure out like, oh, okay, you're gonna hesitate. They're gonna find they're like if you're hesitating on going for say a takedown and they see that, they're gonna sprawl on you because they know that you're gonna hesitate for that takedown. Don't even if you know it's there, just go for it. If you see it open, go for it.
But were you always like that from the beginning, or did you have to get over that?
Um, I feel like I was like that. Like I feel like it comes in waves. There's times where it's like, oh, I don't feel like my takedowns aren't good right now. Like I feel like I'm gonna injure my knee because I've had injured my knee before. So with injuries as well, I feel like you start hesitating again because you're scared you're gonna re-injure yourself or like things like that. So I feel even as even as a fighter, you still get those feelings.
But how do
Um,
you get over it? Like you said, you had these waves. How do you get over these times where you're hesitant?
drill. I would drill on a dummy, like those little like my coach has these little dummies. I would drill on them. I would drill on the bag. I'd use the bag when standing up. I'll do my takedown side to side. Just repetitively doing it. So, sometimes I'll have the band over me and just repetitively go for take like double legs, like shadow takedowns. That really helped me get over it. just working on that, because repeatedly doing it, your body's going to naturally just do it.
And then in your head, you just felt like, okay, now my takedowns are
Yeah.
good enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting because I don't know who it was, but I saw, it was a pretty good college wrestler or someone maybe from Iowa, and they're saying the reason, like I said before, you said the reason you're hesitating is because you're worried about the outcome, you know. So it's interesting to see how you could get past that part of worrying about the outcome.
Yeah, because your body, like in your head, you're just like, oh well, I've done this so many times, you know. Uh, your like your technique gets better if you just like you're sharpening that drill, and your body's just gonna naturally just want to like do that takedown. So how can you really hesitate if your body's mentally like, well, I've done this so many times, I'm just gonna do it. Especially if you see it open.
Now, were there any, like when you were wrestling, for example, were there any people that you watched or looked up to in wrestling, or no?
Um, no, the only person I really looked up to was my sister. But me and her both have different styles. She was more because my sister's 5'6" and I'm 5 foot. So she has a different style, but she was a person I looked to up as a fighter because she has 2 kids as well, and she was still fighting. She made it to being a pro fighter, but she didn't like go all the way through with it, just because life catches up to you, and she it was just a lot for her at that time.
Now, what about MMA? Are you someone who watches it a lot, or is it the same as wrestling? You don't watch it a lot.
Yeah, I don't watch it a lot, but I like to do it. um, yeah, I mean, I'll watch like highlights and like drills and stuff, but I'm not the type to be like, oh, the fights are on tonight, I want to watch them. Unless there's like somebody that I want to watch, then I'll put them on. But other than that, I'm not more like really
Who's
like.
someone you'd actually want to watch?
I feel like this is overrated, but it'd be Conor McGregor, but he hasn't been doing it in a while. And there's this pro fighter, but she doesn't um, do UFC. I don't know if you heard Caitlyn. I follow her on Instagram. She fights under Peak.
Peak.
Yeah, she's a really cool fighter, and I really like her mindset. She's very, for sure, inspirational.
That's interesting, though. You don't. What about jujitsu? Do you watch people? Do you watch a lot of no-gi competition, or do you compete in the gi more? Or
I'm a no-gi girl.
yeah, do you watch a lot of it, or
Um, no, I don't.
it's interesting?
I don't like. I don't like. I'll watch it, but like, I don't really get into like the people that like do it. I just like watch it. Like, I don't really like, oh, who's this person? Um, but yeah, I'll watch it like on YouTube or like Instagram, but it's not something that I put on my like TV and just watch.
Yeah. So you just kind of show up and let the chips fall.
Practically.
That's interesting because I think you're a little different than a lot of people because some of them they watch it all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. My boyfriend, like every time I'm with him, I feel like he puts it on his phone like all the time. He'll just watch fighters all the time. Uh, I, I don't.
Maybe it's because you've been competing in wrestling for a long time or something.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
feel
know.
like I don't know, because there was a time where I was living with my sister, so I mean I would go to the tournaments and I would see all of that when she was an active competitor. I've been seeing the mixed martial sports since I was 12, and I'm about to be 24 now, so I've been seeing it for a long time.
Yeah, my friend, his daughter's like one of the better Oklahoma wrestlers, high school wrestlers, has been for several years, but you can't get her to watch. She has no interest in watching the fights or any of that stuff, which is interesting to me because she's so good at,
Yeah, I
wrestling. But it's
don't.
like,
Yeah, I wish I could. I wish I could like. explain it more, but I can like watch drills. I can go to practice and have it like just I can go on and talk about like um techniques and stuff. But just to watch it on my screen, like on my TV screen, it's more like it's not something I would put on.
Now, it's kind of as we're winding down the interview, I kind of wanted to give you a chance for people that are watching this, if there's something that I kind of asked you about this before, but maybe something that we didn't touch on that you thought was important, or something that you went through, or a message you could give to somebody who's doing something, whatever it may be, whether it's getting into competition or not.
Yeah. Don't give up. Just keep going. Just keep going. Like if you feel like you're stuck, um, take that time to go through it, but don't forget like the reasoning on why you started the sport or started what you're doing, because you had a purpose for it. So I would say don't give up. Like everybody has their own path, and everybody goes through different situations, and some people take it harder than others. um Everybody has like I mean there's people that been only fighting for 2 years and are already pro, you know. Then there's some people that are taking like breaks or because what they go through. Everybody goes through different situations, and I feel like don't take that as a reason to stop or give up or let that dream go. Like do what you got to deal with, cry it out or take that little like do what you got to do, but make sure you go back to your purpose or what you were wanting to start, what you started, finish what you started. Like me, on the other hand, I told myself I wanted to be an MMA fighter. I had my daughter, you know, I had my daughter as a teen, you know, there's teen girls out there that think their dream's gone because they have a child, because they're like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Like, you will figure it out. I feel like I figured it out because this is something that I've always wanted to do, and I want to move up from it. And I feel like moms just naturally figure things out no matter what, especially for their child. And I mean, it took me some time, but I'm doing it, you know.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because some people, they can't get past that. Some people,
Yeah.
maybe they didn't have the guidance as they were younger, and I guess their situation just discourages them,
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, it could be very discouraging. But yeah, as a fighter, as an MMA fighter too, and making it up to the top, like I really hope I can be like people's ideal of, well, this person made it. Like if they can do it, I can do it, you know. And that's one of my goals when becoming an MMA fighter. I want people to look up to me and be like, oh well, she can do in the situation she's been through, she still did it, you know. Like I did it with being a teen mom. Like I'm here fighting.
Yeah, I think it's great to hear that, because you're still wanting to, you still have a focus to do this for years to come.
Yes.
Right. Well, it was great talking to you. I want to thank you for taking the time to do this. And, when you have another fight, I'd love to have you on again and talk to you
Oh
more
yeah,
about
for
it.
sure. I'll keep you updated.
Yeah, it was awesome getting to talk to you and meet you. And, I just appreciate you taking time to do this. And so without people like you, couldn't do shows like this. And
Yeah, this was very not challenging, but this is, well, because I just did a podcast earlier, and that was my first podcast, and I'm doing 2 podcasts on my first first. So this has been challenging for me on how to talk. And yeah, so this has been, I I don't want to say I'm nervous, but it's kind of like not hard, but yeah.
Where can people find you, like on social media? I know you're not super active on Instagram, but if people
Um,
wanted to find you, like people who liked your fight, for example.
okay, yeah, I'm not active on Instagram, but my Facebook, I will comment to my first and last name on Facebook. Uh, that's where I usually post more updates on my daily life. Yeah, so I will comment my first and last name because they both are hard to pronounce and hard to spell.
We'll have all the spelling on there, so you don't have to worry about
Awesome.
that. But yeah, so find her on Facebook, and as always, people checking this out, please support Rhoman and Rhoman Cueva. And until next time, hope everybody enjoyed this show and take care.